everybody, thanks for joining me for my Bits and Bobs progress video number 46, I believe. This week I'm working on the boot finally, and I've begun appliquing the edge to the quilt. Yeah, let me talk about the boot a bit. That design was something I designed for back in late 1990s, and the quilt was actually made in 2000. I made a quilt to teach beginner quilting, and one of the blocks is an applique block, and so for it I made it a boot, a Victorian boot. I'm not going to be able to put this whole quilt on. Yeah, it's I taught it in person, and for decades now it's been a course on my website, through my website, for free to members. Here's the boot there. It's a different, I flipped it over for the Bits and Bobs quilt, but it's the same design. I just loved it, so I wanted to for sure include it on my Bits and Bobs. Now you can see that the top of the boot has a separate piece, and then I included some buttons, and that's still the plan for this boot. This time I did eyelet for the topper, and I did a blanket stitch around the eyelet design to give it that extra color. And my buttons are kind of fun too, that I've got ready. They're not going to go on for a bit, just like my other buttons and charms and things, but they're ready. Now, this button, you've bought blouses before where there's a little bag hanging on the side, that on the sleeve or on the label, where they give you some extra buttons. That's what these buttons are. These are extra, they're fabric buttons, and they were extras from a blouse. And what I did is I took 3 of them, and I put a little, I embroidered, I think you can see these if I hold my hand steady enough. I embroidered this little snowflake star in the middle of each, which I thought was a nice little added detail. And then, so when this is all complete, I will stitch these buttons here, like so. And then for the corner, I took let's see if I have another one of those around. I thought I did. Yes. I have a few of these bows with just like that, a rose with the little leaves. And what I did is I took the leaves off, and I took a little silk ribbon and I scrunched it around the rose instead, so that it made it more fitting this quilt. And then I also took the silk ribbon that I scrunched around the rose, and I wove it in and out of the background of the block to do this. So that's how I've designed this whole block. It's going to be a pretty addition to this quilt when it's complete. And as you can see, I also tucked one of my little random prairie points in behind. I'm going to put that there. So that's the progress I hope to make this week. And yeah, I have begun, but I'll come back. I'll pause the video until I get a little more progress to show you. I got the boot block finished, and very happy with how it turned out. I still don't have the buttons on, but I got the quilting around the boot done, and of course the appliquing of the block itself. And then in this corner, I added little pretty pink X's on the background fabric above where the silk ribbon is woven in. And I think that little extra detail just added such a pretty charm to that piece, that little element there. I'm enjoying that. And then, because I'm bound to, it's going to be good when I get this carnation, silk ribbon carnation block put down, because it's really kind of getting beat up with all the folding and being loose. Once they're stitched down, they really don't seem to, they weather the whole quilt process, folding, unfolding, better than when they're just loose. This will be my next piece. I'm going to do that next. But in the meantime, my brain spotted something, got inspired, and I made another little element, or I'm in the process of. I found some pictures of some houses that had their house number on the front with the numero sign before the number. And a numero sign is and I only learned this myself, is NO, is a numero sign. Or it doesn't have to have the line underneath, but what we know as the hashtag, the 4 lines, 2 crisscrossing the other 2, that's called a number sign. But this, if you do it this way, it's called a numero sign. And I actually love knowing that. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, I could number this quilt Bits and Bobs number 1 and have another excuse to put another font on this quilt, because I love a good excuse for a good font. My button cards have different fonts. My lace card has a font. My initial B is on here with another font. Anyway, so knowing I wanted to do that, I dug out my trusty, one of my font things, and I found one of my, I knew it was there. Gutenberg is one of my favorite fonts. It's just lovely. Anyway, so I printed out different sizes of the N and the O, and decided which one I wanted. I'm not going for the dot in the middle because it would change the meaning, so I didn't go for that. So this is the one that I came up with, the size, and then I drew it on with a mechanical pencil. I traced it onto a piece of white cotton, and I want the kind of cotton that's going to ravel like this, so that's why I chose this one. I backed it with a small piece of batting, and then I stitched using a stem stitch that. So what I'm going to do with this next is I'm going to take out the basting, and I'm going to rip it, you know, a 1/4 inch away maybe from the tops and the side. I'm going to do this off camera because if it wrecks, I'm going to just cry. So I'll come back with how that looks. And the plan, I was kind of hoping I could think of some rose-colored linen I maybe had or something like that, but I don't. I can't think of any place to look for that. But what I still have in my friend Sue sent me some fun things for my Bits and Bobs a couple years ago when I first was starting to collect, and she sent me these fake, this one's real, this is a real piece of leather, but this one's a fake suede, and I have another fake suede that I used already from her for this flower. So I'm thinking maybe backing the raveled little number onto one of these. At first I thought this one, but I'm not really fully sure. I'm still thinking about it, but I'll when I have that ready, I'll show you, come back and show you. All right, I learned a few things. I originally ripped it a little larger, and then decided I wanted to go down some more, and ripping a small tiny piece doesn't rip very well. what I have also discovered is if it's woven like this, if you just cut it and then you get your needle and you pull out some threads, that works very nicely. And I kind of wish I had thought of that to begin with, but here is how it turned out. I'm happy with that. It's okay. I might trim a smidge as I'm looking in the camera, that little bit up there, a little straighter, but other than that, it's pretty good. Now, I did put it on, I did leave enough batting so when I do a running stitch to stitch this on, the batting will still be caught, but it won't show under the phrase. Now, I put it on the pink, the rose, and I don't really like that. It's not, I mean, it works on the background because that's the background, so it makes it stand out, but I'm not really liking this. So I might have to work on this or think of something else. I'm not 100% sure yet. The thing is, this doesn't really stand out as much from the background, but it does, and a little bit anyways. And I think I'd like to put this number in here with that initials of mine somewhere. I haven't really played with it too much, but somewhere up there, or shoot, sorry, my quilt is being there. I'm better. I'm not really sure. Maybe here, maybe move that down and do it. I don't know. I'm gonna play, and when I have that figured out, I'll show you that. Be not before next week though. So this is where I'm gonna sign off for this week. And yeah, next week I'll do that one. I love that. All right. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some inspiration, or just I kept you company while you stitched. That's what I love YouTube for, keeping me company while I stitch. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Happy stitching, everyone.